Hi, this is Melissa with Web of Creativity, and this is the first project in my beginner series. This one's called Flap and Pockets Mini Album. This is October 2017, and I'm going to be doing a beginner series starting from this project to probably the beginning of next year. So this one has two kits, which is this paper is A Perfect Autumn by Echo Park, and then a second kit with Prima's Amber Moon. So I'm going to go through all the pages in this album, and then we're going to start on the cover, how to make all the pages, and matting. You can follow along with the tutorial, which is on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net. And the tutorial has a step-by-step guide, materials, pictures, and measurements. So let's go ahead and show you the album. So this one's a fall one. And even though it's a beginner series, so if you ever wanted to learn how to make a mini album, this is where you can start. But if you just want something simple that you can do for a weekend project, these projects are going to be perfect for that. So some of these stickers are a little, my light's catching them. So it just opens up. And then we have a tag. So this kit with this paper line has some solid color paper for tags. And then this leaf ribbon comes in the kit as well. I'll show you, there'll be a preview video that's separate from this that'll show you what's all in both of the kits. And then again at the end of this video I will show the pages and maybe do some zooming in. I really like this paper collection for fall. It has the cute animals, foxes and raccoons, owls, which happen to be my favorite. And the written tutorial has measurements for 2 pieces, or if you want to mat the full size. And the same thing for the cover, because this back cover has technically 3 pieces. This is part of the spine, but it has measurements if you just want to do one solid piece as the cover. So I do go through those. Alright, that's the album, and we're going to go ahead and start with making the cover. Alright, for the cover we'll need chipboard and paper. So your chipboard pieces, you're going to have a front cover, a back cover, and then your spine. And then for your paper covering, it should only take 3 papers, but I cut my papers before pulling them out for the cover. So I'm getting 2 papers to equal 1. And it's going to be for the back, and I think it's going to look cute. So we have our spine paper, our cover paper, which will go on top. This will be the front cover, and then our back cover is going to have, it's going to look like that. So our back paper is going to have a stripe in it. So we're going to start with our spine paper. Our spine paper, oh, and the tutorial, I'm going to have the dimensions for 1 sheet for the back. For 2 sheets, you just add them together for your 2 sheets if you want to do it like ours. So I want this yellow to be our spine, so I'm going to flip my piece over and attach. So what I did was I marked where the spine's going to be first on my paper. So I made it so it's 3/4 inches on the top and bottom. I usually do 5/8, but I wanted that to be an even number. So we're doing 3/4. It's a little more than needed, but better have too much than not enough. So I centered this and then marked it with some pencil markings of where the chipboard's going to be at. See if I can, my hand's getting in the light, but see, I marked the pencil of where this goes, and I did it at the top and the bottom. So I covered my spine with score tape. I usually always have three sets with me. So I have the 1/2 inch, the 3/8 inch, and the 1/4 inch. So this has 1/2 inch, except for that little piece, which is the 3/8 inch. So I'm going to take my, and when you cover it with tape, you can take your bone folder and rub it on, just to make sure that tape is good and stuck. So I'm going to remove all the tape. And then I'm going to line up where my spine goes. So I'm going to line it up with the bottom. I'm going to turn this so I can see the top. I'm going to line it up with the bottom and line it up with the top lines. And flip it over and run it with my bone folder. Alright, so the next is going to be, I'm going to attach my front chipboard. So I'm going to put a piece of tape along the right edge. Just shy of where the chipboard is going to be at. So I'm not going to run it all the way to the corner. And then for the chipboard, I'm going to run it along the entire edge. And then I'm going to flip it over to attach. I'm going to use a 2 pieces of chipboard as my spacer. So what that means is I'm going to hold my spacer up to my spine edge. I'm going to take my cover and slide it on. So that's going to determine how much space I am between the spine and the front cover. So let's go ahead and remove my tape backing, my tape backing. Use my 2 chipboards and then line up from the top and bottom of the spine piece. So I'm just running it with my bone folder. Alright, we're going to repeat for the back side. So I'm going to turn this sideways so I can tape it just shy of the chipboard edge. And then I'm going to tape my chipboard. Take my spacer. I'm going to go ahead and remove this tape. line it up with the spine's top and bottom edges. All right. I'm gonna flip. All right, now we got the basics done. So I'm going to flip this over and put some tape on the chipboard. Now I'm gonna, because I need to know where my spine line is, I'm gonna go ahead and fold it just a bit so I can get an idea of where that line's gonna be. So I can add my tape along that edge. I'm gonna use my 1/2 inch tape. And that is hard to see. I'm going to go all the way up with the tape. I stopped short, but the paper's just as long as the spine paper. There we go. So that's where our line is. That's where our front paper is going to be at. When doing your covers, you always want to remember where your front cover is going to be and where your back cover is going to be. The papers I chose are not directional, so it's not going to matter if I put them upside down, but it is something you want to think about if your papers are directional. Just adding some extra tape because I will have some embellishments on the front, so I don't want this paper to come up. Though the embellishments aren't going to be heavy, I still want to make sure. Then I'm going to run my bone folder. I'm going to take the tape on to the edge, so I'm going to add, because I don't want that corner to come up when I roll it over to the other side. So I'm going to edge that. Alright, so next I'm going to use my cover. I'm just seeing if I want it to be like that or like that. But before I cover it, I do want to ink this edge. I'm using some Distress Ink Gathered Twigs as my ink choice. You do not have to ink your paper unless you want to. But I don't like, most paper has that white edge. I just don't like the white edge. So I'm not overly inking it. I'm just giving that edge to match the paper so it's not so bright. When you put it down there, you don't see a white edge. So then as I attach, I'm going to follow my tape line. That's going to be the edge line that I follow. So when I put it down, I'm going to put it down so it's lining up against the edge and then lay it flat. sometimes I will, in these empty spaces, run my ATG gun for added measure. I'm not doing it to this one. Most of the stuff going on top of this isn't heavy. But if I was adding some metals, I might do that just for extra security. So I'm going to turn this so I can see my edge line. But you can see the tape where the edge is. So it's exactly the thing I'm going to follow. Oops. Just checking to see if it looks straight. So when it's folded, I just have that hint of that yellow coming through. All right, I'm gonna use front and spine. That's what the back looks like. So for our back piece, I'm gonna just attach I'm just looking to see where I'm gonna be attaching my paper. It's just telling me where I'm going to place my tape at. So it looks like I'm about at 2 1/4. Now, yours might be different. You might have a solid sheet. I think that's wrong. Measure twice, cut once, right? So it's about here. I'm going to lower just a little bit. Just where my tape line is going to be. Like I said earlier, measure twice, cut once. I'm going to just make sure that's about where I want it. If you had just one piece, you would do the same thing you did for this one here. But I waited until the end after I cut some paper for my pages and had scraps left. So I use what I have. I'm going to do one more. Now, this piece is just a smidge smaller. You can see it's just a little bit smaller. That it's fine. It'll still work. I cut a little more than I needed just for... Alright, so I'm going to attach that. I'm going to turn this so I can see that line. I'm going to follow that tape line. I didn't ink this edge or this edge because it's going to get covered up. But if you're not going to have it get covered up, then go ahead and ink that edge. Next, I'm going to attach this piece. I'm going to run tape on both edges. Then I'm going to run tape along here. Where the chipboard is. I'm not sure if I can center this. I'm going to run, I have another bone folder. This is for scoring. It has a sharper tip. So I'm going to run that along this back edge. It gives it a little bit of a score line, and it's easier for folding. So I take my Teflon bone folder. It has this flat edge. You can use you can use this bone folder as well. You're just picking it up and running it across that edge. It's just gonna give me a little bit of a line so I can see where my paper's going. Because I'm not sure I can center it, but if I can, I'm going to. But I don't know if I left enough paper. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and try and center it about an inch from this side. So I'm just going to as long as it covers that paper up, then I'm good. Yep, okay. I'm going to take the tape off of the paper. And I'm going to turn this again so I can see. I have my edge. I can see that a lot clearer than the yellow edge. I'm just going to make my ruler so it's an inch from... Hold on. Let me just get an idea where that's gonna go. And I forgot to ink this edge, so let me ink this edge real quick. Again, I'm not really heavy-handed on it. I'm just going on the edge. Okay. That looks good. All right, now I'm gonna flip this over. And like I did with this edge, I'm gonna get my bone folder, the one that does my scoring, has a tip to it. This is Martha Stewart bone folder, and I'm just going to outline. I'm gonna draw around my chipboard cover. Might go over twice on where the double paper is. Okay. It's gonna give me folding easier. So you can use the Teflon, but because that's folded, you can always just lift with your fingers and then run a bone folder against the paper, or you can just pick up get it started and then pick up the whole thing, and that's going to give you an edge too. But I do like running it because it's going to be easier to fold. And when I run my bone folder against the edge, I don't do it, I stop at where the spine is, because there's nothing protecting that, and I don't want a hole to go through there. So again, you can just pick it up with your hands, fold over, run it, but stop where those the spine area is. We're going to tape all the edges, so we're going to grab our thick tape. All right, next I got a cutting mat and my craft knife, which is a Martha Stewart craft knife. You can tell it's real dirty. I use it all the time. So we're going to cut off some corners. So what I do is I use the Tim Holtz ruler. It has a still edge. So preferable is still edge ruler. You're going to go about 1/8 of an inch out from the chipboard edge. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can zoom in. All right, so we have this edge, and we go out about 1/8 of an inch. So there's the 1/8 of an inch mark from the chipboard, and then we just kind of angle it where it looks even. Hold the ruler down and trim off. So you still have that 1/8 of an inch space. Do that to all the corners. All right, once all the corners are cut, we're going to fold down one side first. So we're going to fold down these sides first, and then we're going to tuck in the corners before we fold the second sides over. So just two sides only. So just fold over the score tape backing and roll over. Make sure that's stuck. And I did not ink that edge. So let me go ahead and ink. All right. And let's go ahead and do this side and turn it around. I'm being careful because I'm not sure. I don't use Echo Park's paper that much, so I don't know about cracking. So I'm just going pretty slowly at it, hoping it doesn't crack. Okay. So then we're going to tuck in the corner. Let me zoom in. See if that zoomed in. So I'm just going to tuck it in with the tip of my bone folder, or you can use your nail. And let's get to the other side. See how it's open? So you can use your nail and just hit it with right up against the chipboard. And do that to all four corners. So then we're going to do the rest. Don't forget when you're doing these that there are spaces here. So you don't want a lot of pressure right there. So I'm going to slowly push down. Because some of them is double layered, so it might take a little. So be careful with the spine area. Let me show you that corner we tucked in. So then it folds right over. So it's a nice corner and you don't see that chipboard. Alright, so then we're going to do this side. Got a bubble in the same spot. Oh, that's all right. Got that bone folder. Let's see if we can knock that bubble out. All right. There we go. So this is the front, this is the back. I'm going to make sure that the dimples go down on the spine. You want them to go inside and not pop out like a bubble. So I'm just folding it slowly. Again, I don't know about the cracking on this, so far so good. So it's looking good. And then we just need to do the inside. All right, so the inside cover, we're going to do one spine piece like we did on the outside. So I'm going to use a brown, and then instead of one full piece, I have half pieces. So I got 2 halves. Now the reason why I have some half pieces is before I cut out the papers on the inside, because you can mix and match, I make sure that I have all my pages cut for my actual pages, my mats for all my pages first, and then whatever's left over I have for the inside covers. So that's what I did. So I've already taped and inked the edges of these, but I want to show you how I treat the spine piece. So what we're going to do, because we want to have this section still open, we don't want tape over it. So we're going to tape the inside of the spine and then the outside of the spine. So it's just right up against that edge, but not going over, because we still need that space to be open. So we're going to go on both sides of that hole or that crease area. And then with the spine piece, the paper, that's just going to get taped on all the edges. So I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to add some more tape in the middle of the spine, but this is just going to get taped along the edges. Now we're going to add more tape here. Why I like to add a lot of tape is because this is where your binding is going to be. This is where all your pages are going to be. So this is where all your wheat is going to be. So you want to make sure that this is covered. Alright, so that's what your spine is going to look like. So we make sure those are down. And then the edge of your spine piece is all covered. Alright, taking off all the tape. Okay, so I don't really have a measurement. I just made this to make sure it hangs off on both sides, probably about 1 inch. So I just want to make sure that when it's on, it's about 1/8 of an inch from the top and then 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. And I'm just eyeballing the center. Might be a little off camera, but I'm just centering this the best I can. Might have got a little high on the right, but that's all right. Make sure this is down. And before I attach my side pieces, I'm gonna just give this a little bit of a push. Make sure that crease goes inside. I don't want it to bubble outside. So I'm just gonna hold it while I move it. There we go. Look at that. Okay. I'm going to do the insides. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and attach. So this is going to be about 1/8 of an inch from the edge and from the bottom, which makes it about 1/8 of an inch from the spine edge. And then I'm going to use some ATG, my ATG, which is Advanced Tape Glider, to add some more adhesive to this. It's not going to have a whole lot of stuff on it, so you can use your tape. I'm just adding a couple of pieces. So this is the Advanced Tape Glider. Just did an X and a line. And again, I inked my edge. I'm going to line it up with the bottom. About 1/8 of an inch. And the side. And then I try to line it up with the brown spine piece. And I have it so the next piece will overlap about 1/4 of an inch. So that's gonna get, I'm just doing like a placement to look before I actually attach. Just in case I have to trim any edges, or if it overlaps, gonna be, you know, weird or something. I don't know. Just to make sure the edges are even. All right, and again, I'm gonna go ahead and get my ATG. I do like the fox paper. I just didn't use it. Okay. I'm gonna try and still stay on camera. So again, about 1/8 of an inch. Oops. Trying to make sure it lines up with the edge of the bottom paper and the top. There we go. Okay, then we're going to do the side. You can do a full sheet instead of a half like I did. It's, you know, whatever you want. I like it this way just for decorating purposes. So like I can put a strip here and then put some words. Just breaks it up a little bit. All right, that is the cover inside. That's our outside, our spine, our back. All right, cover done. Time to move on. Next we have the binding. I have 3 pieces for the binding, and the type of binding style I use is created by Laura Dennison, and it's called Stack the Deck. This album will also work with the accordion fold binding if you want to do it that way. So for this one, I need 3 pieces. We're going to score them to make these tabs, these 1/2-inch tabs, and then tape all over it. So let's get our scoreboard, and I use a Martha Stewart scoreboard. And what we do is score a 1/2 inch on both sides. So I score a 1/2 inch, and then instead of figuring out how far up to go, I just turn it around and score another 1/2 inch. So I'm doing that on all 3 pieces. And then we're going to fold on the score lines where all of the tabs are going in the same direction. We're going to taper all of the corners. So tapering is cutting at an angle up to the score line. So you have the score edge here, and then we're going to just cut it at an angle. And we're going to do that to all the pieces. So all 4 corners are going to get trimmed. Alright, since I already made my binding, I don't want to waste the tape, so I'm going to tell you what to do. You're going to cover the back in between the score lines, and you're going to cover it with tape. So I'm going to use my ADT just to show you what to do, but use tape because you're going to need it to be strong. So we're going to again, this is just to show you what to do. You want to use your strong adhesive. So for this step, you're going to take the middle piece and connect it to the large piece, and you're going to center it. So you want it to be centered. You do not have to eyeball. You can measure. It makes it easy with the Tim Holtz ruler. Because it has the center point at 0, so you can just put it down, get your piece where it lines up. So now I stacked the middle one on top of the large one, and then we're going to do the same thing. Again, please use tape. This is demonstration only, and then we're going to attach it to the center again. So I like to attach to just the very edge and then line it up with the center on the other side, so I'm not going to, so it doesn't get attached crooked. So now I'm just folding the fins back and forth with the tabs. So now you have all three pieces stacked. So this is what your pages are going to slide on. So you want to attach tape to both sides of this, and you can do that before you attach them. So both sides are taped. And then we attach this guy to the inside, whoops, of your cover. So we're going to, again, you cover the whole thing with tape, and then we're going to center it onto your album. Now I measured and make little measurement marks, so top and bottom is even, and then it's even between the binding and the edge of the spine. So now I'm going to remove the tape. I'm going to turn this sideways so I can see both the top and the bottom. So I'm going to line it up with my markings. Again, I just measured to make sure this is going to be in the center, so it's even with the top. And again, I just push down just on the edge, so then I can still have this wiggle room back and forth to make sure that I line it up with the front. And then I just visually look at it and make sure it's even. And then I press it down. You want to make sure this is stuck. So you can get your foam folder and run it down. You want to make sure that this thing isn't going anywhere. A tip for putting this down, sometimes if you get it crooked and you pick it back up, make sure you add additional adhesive. If you keep removing something that has adhesive on it, that adhesive loses its stick. So sometimes it's good just to start all over again, or just add some more tape or glue if you prefer to use a strong glue. All right, that thing is down. So now we can put our pages on there. Another tip when putting tape on the edge, make sure you put it straight closest to this edge as possible. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see that I left a little space between the inside edge and the tape. So you want that little bit of space. So make sure your tape is flush against the edge, so you have that space on all of your tabs here. Okay. All right, let's move on. All right, next is building the page. So the page consists of a flap and a pocket on the back and a pocket on the side. So it's not a whole lot of paper. We just need 4 pieces. So I'm gonna put this aside. And we have 2 identical pieces for the main page, the flap for the front, and a piece for the back for the pocket. Let me get my scoreboard, and we're going to score the same on both of your main pages. Then we have our flap. We're going to score on our flap. And then our pocket. Oops. Alright, focus. So for our main page, get some tape and foam folder. We're going to fold on our tab that we created. On both pieces. Then we're going to taper the corners. So I'm going to cut from the score point at an angle. You don't have to be precise. It's just a I just eyeball it. Then we're going to add some tape. To the outside fold. So you have that inside fold. So we're going to add tape to the outside fold. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. Now how these attach is this tab gets folded inside on both of them. And we're going to flip this one over so the tab is on the opposite edge. So this tab will go on this edge and then this tab on this edge to make our pocket. So I'm going to turn this over and line this edge up like so. And then I'm going to remove this tape, and then I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to remove this tape and fold this over and make sure that it's even at the top and the bottom. And then run my bone folder to make sure that it sticks. And to flatten this out just a little bit. Alright, so next is our flap. So this is how our page goes. And this side is where it goes into the binding, and this side is where the flap goes into. So for the flap, we're going to fold on our score line. We're going to taper our corners. And this one we're going to add tape on the inside. So I'm going to remove the tape and then just slide the page in evenly and then close it. Okay, so I'm going to remove the tape. Slide the page in on the opening. And then run my bone folder. So there we got our flap, and then we're going to turn over and put the pocket on the right edge. So let's get our pocket. We'll fold on the score lines. So the pocket has three sets of tabs. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and trim the corners, and this one gets a double trim, which is just one cut. So let's do the corners first. And then for the bottom corner, we still need those angles cut off. So we're just going to trim. Don't cut the corner off of the pocket and trim. Sometimes I just cut a little at an angle. So I'm cutting at my angle, get to that corner, do another angle. So now, like these weren't here, you just cut off your corners. And then the tape is going to go on the outside sections. So I'm going to run my bone folder over it first to get that tab to sit down. And then I'm going to just fold this corner piece up just a little bit and fold this one, your side piece, down. I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Fold it down. And I'm going to run my bone folder over the sides just to flatten that pocket out a little bit. And then I remove the tape on all of it to attach. So it's going to be, remember this is the front with the flap. Turn it over and we want it on the right side. So I'm going to move this down so I can line it up and see it. I'm just going to get it flush to the edge, and it'll go right to the top and the bottom. So there's our pocket. Flap, pocket here, turn it over, pocket here. And that's our page. And you make 6 of those. Now for matting, I already cut my mats out and put some ink along the edges. I used the same thing, the gathered twigs. Before I attach any of the papers, I go through the whole paper pad and find out what I want to place everything. So you can have solid piece for the front flap and the inside, but I did 2 separate pieces for the inside. And then the kit has some little cute little cutouts that we're going to attach to decorate. So I want to put that there. And then just attach it in the middle so you can slide the picture underneath it. But I'm going to punch the corners out with my stub punch. It's a cropping dial. We Are Memory Keepers. It's the stub. You don't have to do anything with your corners, but I like to do, depending on my mood, sometimes I'll round them out, sometimes I'll use my stub. And if you don't have We Are Memory Keepers, you can find different ones at the box stores, especially the corner rounders. So I'm going to attach those there. So I'm going to go ahead and attach. I'm going to use my ATG just to make it quicker. I'm going to attach in the center so it has about 1/8 inch border all the way around. And do the inside. Now for matting, you can use your ATG or any other tape gun that you have, or you can use your double-sided strong adhesive or your wet glue. It's whichever your preference is. You know, you can always try each one on different albums and then find which one you like the best. I'm going to turn this around. Alright, since I stubbed my corners, I'm going to go ahead and ink. Alright, so I'm just going to look for my placement. It should just be 1/8 inch around. I'm off camera, but I'm just running my ATG on my mats. Oh. Now the tutorial will have measurements for a full-size mat or for 2-part mats like I have here. And then I'm going to flip that over. And we just have 2 pieces. This is going to slide a little bit inside that pocket. So this one might be the trickiest to attach because it does slide into that pocket just a little bit. So the kit has some good ephemera packs with some words and sayings, and then it has some stickers also. I'm just turning this sideways so I can get an idea this is going to be centered. I'm just making sure I'm centering it. So for the back pages, there's a cutout sheet in the paper collection. I'm just going to attach about there and then have a tag underneath it. And then for the front side, I'll have like a little cut piece and just decorate it. So the tutorial will have all the pages decorated, a picture of all of them. So you can see that. See all how I decorated all the pages. And then for the pages, I'm trying to get the album here. For attaching them, you have the opening. So it'll just slide on. You'll remove the tape and then you'll just slide the page right onto it. And when you slide it on, you don't want it to butt up to the very bottom and have it flush to the bottom, because then your page might be a little more stiff. So that's why when we added the tape, we left that extra bit of room. So how I'm going to do this is, what I like to do is just start the tape off first and have it out a little bit so I can grab it. That'll give me a good idea of where to place it. And that's just for the front side. And then when it comes to the back side, I'll already have that placement, and then I get my craft knife and peel the tape backing off and then and tear it. So I'll show you how, oh, there's my craft knife. I'll show you how I do that one. So we're going to, first, before I take the tape off, I'm just going to slide it on. This just to make sure that my binding is the same size, that my page fits, that I'm not going to have any problems when the tape backing is removed. So again, I'm going to just remove some of the tape. You know, fold it down a little bit. And I'm going to slide it on from the back. Oh, well, maybe. And then wiggle it on and make sure it's in a good place. And before I remove that tape, I'm just going to fold it down to make sure the back side looks good. So let me see if I can. So you can see a little bit, it's hard to see. I have just that little bit of area visible. So I'm going to slide this back down a little bit where my tape is going to be. Okay, and then so now it's in a good spot. I just need to get the tape backing from underneath. So I use my craft knife, the tip of the craft knife, and try and pry that tape backing. This might not be the easiest way to get it, and I maybe should have started a little piece before. Oh, almost had it. But I just like to have that placement before I put that tape down, before I put the page down, because I have messed up several beautiful pages putting my page into my binding spot. So I'm usually a little more careful. If you use wet glue, it's a little bit more, you have more leniency. You can move it around a little bit. See if I can get that to focus. So we have, let's see if I can use my craft knife. So we have the edge of the page, and then we have That's where the score line is on the binding, and then we have that little bit of space, which, and you know, you can't see it from when you're sitting and looking at it. You can only see it, I mean, you can see it a little bit, but you're not paying attention. So you just want that little bit of space that makes the page move free and clear. All right. And then just once you get your page matted, you can do it beforehand, but I prefer to mat my page first. And then you just slide them all in. When all the pages are in and then you're trying to mat them, you're moving all the pages down, you're kind of stuck. You can't move it around a little bit and look. So I do prefer just to do at least your basic matting. And then you can put your pages in and then decorate them however you ever feel. What works for you. And then last are your tags. So you can just cut out some colorful tags. I'll of course ink them, and then oh, I got several different kinds. Let's see. Do teal. So we have our tags, and then I'm going to put that, where did that piece go? So it's going to look good when you have that piece there. Okay. And that's it. So I'm going to show you, once I get all my pages in, I'm going to show you the album again at the end of this video. So that's a good start, and then I'm going to cover my front, cover the spine, get that all decorated. Alright, that's how you assemble the album. Alright, now that the album is complete, I'm going to just go through page by page and do some zoom ins. So if you want to mat your album just like mine, you can see everything that I did. Or just gives you an idea of how I matted everything. So I'm going to see if I can zoom in a little. Alright, so this kit has a cut apart page for this little guy. It has some ephemera pieces and then some stickers. You got this little bird sticker up here. He's adorable. Got a little squirrel down here. And that is all the pages. All right. Thank you for watching.